Hi, welcome to my channel, The Magic of Math. Today, my video is on how to animate a Google Slide presentation. So I'm going to start off with, we're going to have a simple presentation here with 7 slides. We're going to have a title slide, so think of it as an intro. Our last slide is going to be the end, our outro. And then I have 5 content slides in between. So when our students do this, they write a story and they have the 5 parts to their story, and we're going to go ahead and animate it so that it comes to life. So I'm going to show you how to animate in Google Slides today, live and in action. So here we go. First, let's start with our title slide. I'm going to just show you something you may not know. We're going to go to Insert here, and we're going to insert word art, which allows you to do a couple of things, and this is why I like it, and I actually use it on my slides and my videos. So I'm going to just simply type in how, and then if you want to do something so that it goes to the next line, you have to hit Shift Enter, and that allows you to have multiple lines. I'm going to say how to, Shift Enter, animate, Shift Enter, Google Slides. Now I'm going to hit just Enter, and it populates. And here's the really cool thing about using word art versus a text box. I am going to go in here and go to my text. And the one I use in my videos is called Spicy Rice. And it changes the font in here. And now I can drag, make sure that we are dragging it by a corner so we don't distort it unless you want to. So I can drag by the side boxes. And you can play around with this. And you can always hit the undo if you don't like something you've done. So to keep us on track, I center it. Do you see how if I drag that box, the red horizontal and vertical bars show up? So I know it's centered on my slide. And I am going to come over here to this paint, fill. You go over to the fill color, and you can pick one of these colors, or you can even go to the custom box and drag it. You all know I'm kind of a pink lover here, so I can change the different shades of pink. Pretty cool. And then you drag this. And then you say OK, and it becomes part of your fill color. So now when you come in here, your custom colors are there for this entire slideshow. So if you don't like all the ones that they provide you, go ahead and add your own color. Now, the next thing I really like about this is if I click on this box, there's this pencil bar right here, and this allows you to create a border color on your word art. So if I click it, I can see that it's this light gray, which I like. It's not as harsh as the black. And then I'm going to go to the border weight, the one to the right of that, and I'm going to make it a border weight of 4, and it kind of just makes it pop. So, and then last thing I want to show you is on this slide, we can change the background color. So let's look at this. I'm going to go to the background, and the same thing, you could go in here and pick an image. So let's look at that for a second. If you go and choose an image, you can browse anything you have saved, or you can go to a Google image search, and in here you could say slide background images, and you spelled it wrong, background images, and then you have all of these choices. You could even say pink background choices, slide pink. Pink background choices, and hit enter, and then it populates for you. So you can pick them and try them out. So I can go over here and insert this, and I can say done, and I can say now, oh, this needs to pop more, so I'm going to go back to my border color, and I'm going to actually pick black so it stands out more. And then my fill should be a little bit different, right? It should contrast. So let's go in here and let's change it. And you can see how you can play with that. And I can come in here and I can even, let's see how this color blue might pop on that. So anyways, this is how you do that, and you can go ahead and play with all of these features and see what you like. So now let's go into animating, now that we have a cover slide. So when I've done this for my students, we start with a coordinate grid in the background because animation is actually a grade 8 math standard in the form of transformations. So even Walt Disney, as an animator, he animated using math. So a transformation in math, you should have learned about 4 of them. translations, reflections, rotations, dilations. They are 4 types of transformations, and I'm going to review those today. If you're simply here just to animate a slide, you're going to get that too. But if you'd like to apply it to your grade 8 standards of transformations, I'm also going to show you that as well. So if you've ever seen a flip book of an animation that students, you flip through the pages and it looks like the character is walking or flipping or somersaulting, those are what we're going to do today using a Google slide. So the first thing I do here is I've added this text box. So I've inserted a text box. I made sure the fill to the text box was white, and I made sure that the border to the text box was black. And then I've noted here for my students to go in and enter their text here to their story. There's nothing worse than seeing the text on a screen and not being able to clearly read it, especially if we go back to this slide and you can imagine just writing black text on top of it. So I think that this is a very eye-pleasing, and it draws the attention of the reader or the viewer to look at your text here. So today, I'm going to ask that you all entertain a text box that has again, if you click on the text box, I've inserted just this text box, and I've done a fill of white and a border of black. So, and you will have access to this slide in the description. So this file will be able for you to copy for yourself if you want to practice with this and have this template as your start. Now on this slide, my coordinate plane is my background. I've already dropped in this image, so you can see I can't click on it. We're going to change it when we're all done our presentation. So let's begin our first animation. I'm going to show you how to do a translation, a mathematical translation that turns into an animation on a Google slide. So you can see I've dropped in my Bitmoji here, and I'm going to anchor it right here, and I need a starting point because if you need to communicate out what your translation is mathematically, you need a starting point. So I'm going to say that my heel right here is on this number 5. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a control, well, I can do it from here. I'm going to copy my image, click out of it, right click, and paste. So now I have a second image. Now I'm going to do a series of 3 translations. So this is going to be the first. I'm going to paste another one. So then my figure moves over here, and then I'm going to do a 4th figure. So in order for 3 translations to happen, I need 4 figures. Now I know this looks busy, but it's not going to happen. So I can see my 5 right here. Let's line up this image. I'm going to show you that you can even overlap. It will be fine. So you can see my heel is here at 10. And then I'm going to take this heel and bring it over to 15. So if you can see right here with my cursor, I'm lining up my heels and I'm going over. I'm translating to the right 5 units every time. So if you've done translations in math, you've seen now that you translate to the right 5 units. So if you think about this, each x coordinate, so this is the ordered pair 5, 0. And if I translate 5 units to the right, it's going to be now 10, 0. So you could go up or down. I just want to show you this animation to get you started and show you how it happens. So right here, when I open up my slide, this image, this first Bitmoji will appear. I'm going to go right up here to the screen. You have to click on your image to get it to pop up, and I'm going to animate it. Now, I want this image to fade, right here, fade out after the previous. So this is really important first step. I want it to fade out after the previous. What after the previous is after the slide opens up, my Bitmoji is going to disappear. And I'm going to have it stay right where they have it, right here. This is the speed of it. The slide bar right here is the speed, slow, medium, and fast. And I like the speed where Google sets it. So I'm going to leave that. So now this Bitmoji, what this fade out is going to do is going to make this Bitmoji fade out after I start presenting this slide. So the next thing I want to do is click the second image, and I'm going to add animation to that. And I want this to fade in, not on click. So click would be as if you were presenting yourself, and when you hit the mouse or the arrow bar to move on to the next, it wouldn't go to the next slide, it would show your animation. But I want to play this as a movie, so I want it to happen all on its own. So I'm going to have this fade in after the previous. Okay, and now we're going to click it again, add another animation to it, because I need it to fade out. So notice my first image, and you can see what this shades, it highlights it. If I click on my first image, it's going to fade out after the previous. My second Bitmoji is going to fade in after the previous, and then fade out after the previous. Click the third, and we're going to do the same thing. Fade in after the previous. I'm going to add a second animation with the same image, and it's going to fade out after the previous. And here we go, my last Bitmoji. This one's only going to have one animation. I want it to fade in after the previous. So now let's check our work. If you hit this play button, it's going to play it for you. There you have it. So we have now made our Bitmoji translate 5 units to the right 3 times. So now I'm going to put in the speaker notes here. Translation 5 units to the right 3 times. And that communicates to anyone who's looking at this what I have done. So if you have to mathematically prove it, and you're not just having fun and you're doing it to show that you understand a translation, that's what you could do. So let's move on to our next slide. So on this slide, I'm going to do reflection. And reflection is going to be over a line of symmetry. So I love koala bears. So here's my Bitmoji, and I've gone and preloaded these images into the Google slide to save time while I'm doing the video. You should always do a transparent image. Okay, so when you go to look for it, make sure you insert right here. You can go to insert image, and when you go to search the web, going to make sure that you look for a transparent image. So here we go. I have this. So I'm going to need a second koala bear. So I'm going to do right click, copy it, and then I'm going to click out and right click, paste it. So to reflect it, you're going to go into this menu. So I've right clicked it, and you go down to the rotate menu, and I'm going to flip it horizontally. And there you can see that he's already looks like a reflection. So now I'm going to put him on my hand, and I'm going to look at my line of symmetry. So I'm going to center my Bitmoji so that I can see my Bitmoji is right over. If you look at that, this is a line right here. I'm going to bring in a line for you right here, and we're going to take it off after. Oop, what happened to my line? Okay, so let's do this. I want to show you something, and I'm going to make this much thicker so that you can see it. We're going to erase this. You shouldn't do this. I'm just going to show you. So here is my line. This line right here is the line x equals 17. So if you're looking mathematically, I'm going to put that in my speaker notes. Line of reflection x equals 17. So if you're having to prove it mathematically, that's what you're doing. So I'm going to flip it over the line of reflection of x equals 17. So sometimes you've learned in math that you're flipping it over the y-axis or over the x-axis. Because I have a first coordinate grid here, because it looks like a real world, I don't have that. My line of reflection is going to be the line x equals 17. Now, if I was doing a horizontal line, it would be the line y. So if I was flipping it over this, it'd be the line y equals 4. So anything vertical is going to be x equals the number where it crosses the coordinate plane. So now if I look at the center of my koala bear over here, we can see it's 11. So I am 6 away. 11 plus 6 gets me to 17. So this koala bear is 6 units away from the line of reflection, which means this koala bear has to be 6 units away. So now I need to go 17 plus 6 is going to be 23, and I need to make sure that I am centered right there. So you can see those lines too. Do you see when I moved it, those lines popped up? So it shows me that I'm equidistant with both images, and that red line through the koala bear showing that they are at the same location. So now I can take my line of reflection out because I've used it to make my reflection, And I know what it is. I've noted it in my presenter notes. And my koala bear is going to be in my hand right here. This koala bear will be there when it shows up, when the slide starts. But I need it to disappear so that I can make it reappear. So think of me tossing this koala bear over to my other hand. So we're going to add an animation here, and I'm going to want this to fade out after the previous. So once the slide starts, this koala bear is going to disappear. So that means I now need this one to appear. So I'm going to add the animation, and I want it to fade in after the previous. So it means after this fades out, I want this koala bear to fade in. So I'm going to play it so that you can see if this works. And there he goes. Okay, so now I need students, when I ask my students to do this, to do multiple. So we're going to flip it back. So this was one reflection. Now I'm going to flip it back into my hand. So I'm going to click on this and animate this because I want him to reappear. So I want him to fade in after the previous. Oops, I made a mistake. Let's go back. I need this koala bear, add an animation. He needs to fade out. Don't forget, he needs to fade out after the previous. So you can look, if I highlight this, you can see he's fading in and fading out. So if you ever forget where you are like I just did, you can highlight your animation menu and it'll show you which it belongs to, which figure. So I know he's going to fade in and fade out. Now I got to have this one reappear. So we add them, and you do it in order because now we're down here. And let's see. If I click on this, I need to move this down. I want him to come down here. Did he move? There he is. Fade in after the previous. Let's play and make sure this works now. So you can always check. And there he reappears. So I'm going to stop. And so that was one reflection, two reflection. So now I need to add, click on him, add the animation. Hopefully he shows up at the bottom. He did. And I want him to fade out after the previous. So now he's gone. So I flipped 1, 2, and now I need this one to reappear. Add animation. And I want him to fade in after the previous. So let's go back because it might seem confusing. So first thing I'm going to do is click on this. So you can see he fades out after the slideshow starts. Then this one that's not highlighted, it fades in after the previous, fades out after the previous. And then I go back to my other hand and he's going to fade in, fade out, and then this one's going to fade back in. So that's going to be three reflections over the line of reflection, x equals 17. So let's play to see how we did. 1, 2, 3. So we're going to type in here, the koala bear is reflected over the line of reflection x equals 17 3 times. Now, I use the same line of reflection. Some of you might decide that you're going to reflect it over the line x equals 4, x equals 10, and you're going to make it flip-flop back and forth mirror images all the way across the screen. That is your choice. Have fun and be creative. And now I'm going to move on to my next slide, and here I'm going to show you how to rotate. So here I am in this little bubble, and we are going to do a rotation. So we are going to add animation, and I'm going to need this to fade out after the previous. So when we come in, it needs to fade out so it can move. In order for it to move, I'm going to right-click copy and right-click paste. So here's my other bubble. So what I'm going to do is line this up because my center of rotation is going to be the center of the image. So see this little dot up here? Notice that I have my 4 arrows and my cursor turns into vertical lines with no. I'll do it again. Right up there. And you want that little handle. You grab the handle and it's actually going to do the magic for you. It's going to tell you how many degrees. So I'm going to rotate it. We're going to have fun with it because I'm going to rotate it 45 degrees clockwise. So there I am. I'm spinning. So now I need to take this because this is a second image, right? Make sure that your image is centered over because you're rotating it around the center of the image. So here we go. I'm going to add the animation, and I want it to fade in after the previous and add in an animation and fade out. Okay, so now I'm going to play this, and so you can see there I fade out and I rotated 45 degrees. So I'm going to stop my animation, and there we are, and I'm going to put it in here that rotated about the center of the image 45 degrees 3 times. Now again, you don't need to do 40 times 3 times. You don't need to do the same center, the same degree of rotation. You don't need, oh, I forgot to say clockwise, rotated clockwise about the center of the image 45 degrees 3 times. So you could change your degree of rotation if you wanted to. So I've rotated it once, I need to do 2 more. So I'm going to paste on my image. I'm going to copy the last image. So copy, paste, and I'm going to rotate it now another 45, which means I'm getting to 90. There's 90. I'm going to take it and drag it till I get that red X, so I know it's about the center of the images. There it is. And now I can add my animation, fade in after the previous, add animation, and fade out after the previous. So that is my second. So now I want to grab it, and I want to copy it and paste it. And I'm going to drag this another 45 degrees. So if I go 90, so 90 to 100 would be 10. And then I got to get to 135. So that's another 45 degrees. Drag it up here, line it up so I get that red X. And now it's been rotated about the center. And I'm going to add the animation to this. Just scroll it down, and I want it to fade in after the previous. So I'm going to play it because by my recall, I have done this rotation 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So now I have rotated my image, which is a mathematical rotation, and I've also animated it for the viewer. And let's go to our next slide. Our final type, I gotta stop this before I can move. If you get stuck, it's because you have to hit stop in your animation screen. So I'm gonna go to the last one. And our last transformation that I've taught my students is a dilation. So I found this image of a flower. I'm going to put my Bitmoji over here. My face is in there. What I did was I copied this entire image and cropped it. So if you go and right click on your image, you can pick crop image, and that's all I did. So you can see that I've cropped it so it's just the flower. And you can have fun, use your own imagination, and you can see that it is the same size as this, okay? But I'm going to dilate this about the origin. So when you do that, you want to drag it by this box. So let's make sure it is completely lined up on the first one. And I'm going to drag it so that it is, let's see, 1.5 times. Let's count the boxes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 boxes. So if I say that we want to dilate it with a scale factor of 1.5, I have to take that 5 and multiply it by 1.5, and I'm going to get 7.5. So I want to drag this so that my box goes from being 5 to 7.5. So this would make it 6, 7, and then go a half. So I'm going to say dilation about the origin, and that's on my origin over there, and actually I'm going to dilate it about the center. Dilate it about the center of the image of the flower. Let's say of the flower. Of the flower by a scale factor of 1.5, and I'm going to do this 3 times. Hopefully it fits on my screen. We'll find out. So if I'm doing it about the center, I need to get right above my flower. So there it is. So that's 1. So let's go back to our original image, I need to add animation, and I am not going to have this one fade in or out, actually. I'm going to trash that because I want my flower pot to stay there. So my dilated image, I want this to fade in after the previous. And then I'm going to have it add and fade out. Ooh, fade out after the previous. Let's right click and copy it, right click and paste it. So now I'm going to take 7.5 and I'm going to multiply 7.5 by my scale factor of 1.5, and that gets me 11.25. So let's go over here, line it up on the center. You see that red X, and now I need to go, I'm at 7.5, and I'm going to go 8.5, 9.5, 10.5, 11.25. And there I am. And now that I've dilated it, I want to come back and I want to make it be, I want to see some of my flower pot. I'm going to add my animation and I'm going to fade in after the previous. So that's the second time it grew. So I need to do one more. So I need this to fade out after the previous. All right. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it. And I need to dilate that one more time. So now I'm going to do 11.5 times 1.5, my scale factor, and I get just under 17. I get 16.875. So I'm going to bring this back down here for a second. And I can see that I'm at 11, and this will be easier to drag it up to 16 and almost 17. So I'm going to have to go up like that. So now it's going to get really big. So you may want to change your text box when you do this if you have it happen. And I'm just going to have it go to the top of my screen right here so that I am popping it out of there. So I've grown so large I'm there, and I'm going to show you how you can resize this text box too. So I can move my text box. If this happens to you, you can move your text box over to here. I just like to have it there, and you can enter your text. And I need to make my last image, add animation. I need that to fade in after the previous. So let's play this and see if I really have dilated about the center of the flower by a scale of 1.5 3 times. Let's play. 1, 2, 3. So I can see I have a little bit of an issue because this flower looks there every single time. So what I'm going to do is crop this image. I am going to copy it and I'm going to paste it, and this will be good for you to see. And I'm going to crop this so that I have just my little flower. You can see I've done this a couple of times. Crop out. So I have my flower, and I'm going to take this one. I may lose my water can, but that's okay. I'm going to crop this down so that I don't have the flower there anymore. Okay, so if I do another paste, my whole image is there, and I can crop this, take out the flower, so that I still have my watering can. Bring that over here. And that's always going to be there. But watch this. I'm going to put this here. Line it up to where it was supposed to be. There we go. And I'm going to have this. I'm going to add an animation. And I'm going to have this fade out after the previous. And that's the first thing that needs to happen. So this is a good thing this happened because now I'm going to show you how to drag this. So I'm going to drag this all the way back to the top. So that should be, oop, that's not what happened. Fade out after the previous, there it is. This one needs to go all the way to the top. And I believe this one. Okay, let's play and see if I have them in order. Okay, stop. So, this guy needs to be my first one. He's down here. this needs to be my first one. Drag him up to the top. And then my next one needs to be this. Yep, that one's going to fade in and out. So bring that over here, put it on the center of my face. And then this next one, oop, here he is. Fade in and out, that's good. That's the right one. So that is not the right one. I need this one right here. Put it on the center. There it is. And then my last one is going to fade in right here. And you can see that it's gotten bigger. Let's play. So it's not perfect. You can play with yours and make it bigger, but you can see that my flower is growing and getting bigger every time. All right, and then we have our final one. I'm going to stop this and go to my last slide. And here's where I encourage my students to do multiple translations at the same time. So let me show you an example. Did I put in the speaker notes? Yep, I did. So here I'm going to take my Bitmoji and it's going to jump on this little trampoline. So the first thing I'm going to do is have it. I'm going to tell you down here what I'm doing. I'm going to translate, and let's go 5 units up. So that's going to be my first translation. So I need to take this, I need to make a copy, and I need to paste it. And that is going to go, I need to get it centered. There it is, it's centered. So now I need the top of, let's crop this image so we can see what we're doing here. And I need to pick a point on this that's going to go 5 units up. So if I have this all trapped here, okay. So this has to go 5 units up. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And once again, I'm going to take my text box and I'm going to move it over here. And my text can be here, but it's still in a white text box with black. So my first image, I need to add animation. I want it to fade out after the previous when it turns in. And then I want this image to fade in after previous. And I'm going to set it up to add animation and fade out after the previous. So that's my translate 5 units up. The next thing I want to do is I'm going to rotate about the center. And let's do 180 degrees. And remember, when it's 180 degrees, you don't need to say the direction because it doesn't matter what direction, you're going to go the same. I'm going to copy. I'm going to paste, and I'm going to drag my rotating handle and watch it till it gets 180 degrees. There it is. So I'm going to, oop, did that go 180 degrees? There it is. And I'm going to make sure it's lined up on the center of the previous image. There's my red box to show me my red cross mark. And I want to add animation. I want this to fade in after the previous. Add animation. I want it to fade out after the previous. So that's 2. And now I'm going to have it rotate about, I'm going to do this 2 times. Rotate about twice. So this is 2. So I'm going to take my upside down Bitmoji. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to rotate it back 180 degrees, line it up so it's my red cross mark, and I want this one to add animation. I want it to fade in after the previous, and I'm going to go, this is 1, 2, 3, but I'm going to do another one. I'm going to also add animation, have this one fade out after the previous, and I'm going to right-click copy, right-click paste, and I'm going to bring this back down to my original image. Which you could have gone back to the first, but I did this one. And I'm going to say that my final is translate 5 units down. And I need to click on that person again, and I need to add the animation that it fades in after the previous. Okay, so this should be 4 animations. Let's play. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there you have it. For a series, I've animated it with a series of 4 transformations. I'm going to stop my animation menu. I'm going to go to my final slide, and I am going to insert my word art here and say V, Shift Enter, End, Enter. There it is. I'm going to go back to my font that I like, and I'm going to put my custom color in there, make it nice and big, and then that got a little distorted, didn't it? And then I'm going to center it. Find that red cross mark. Where did it go? I'm going to change my background, choose my image. I'm going to choose the same image I did before just to keep things consistent. And then I'm going to do something here. I'm going back to my first slide and I'm going to the background. And here's where I'm just going to pick a nice light color, nice light blue, and say done. Over here, same thing. I'm going to go to my background. I'm going to choose, oops, not an image because that would be busy, and I want just a nice light blue. I want my reflections to show up over here. Background, I'm going to choose a color. This one, I'm still going to change it to blue. And my final one over here, I have 2 more. Change this to that light blue color. Hopefully you're seeing all this. Background. Oop, I don't want an image. I want color. Light blue. Done. So there we have it. So now I'm going to do one last thing before I set you free. I'm going to present my entire presentation. Oop, hold on a second. Present from beginning. You can't see the top of my screen where the text box is because of how I'm recording it, but you can see how it is playing and going through all the animations with a beautiful background. I want you to have fun with this. I hope it helps make your Google presentations more entertaining. And you can also set your presentations for slides to move automatically. And I want to show you one more thing after this finishes before we go. Okay, so I'm going to escape out, and what I have my students do here is I say File, and we are going to, right here, we are going to publish it to the web, right here. Publish it to the web, and we're going to auto-advance the slides after every 3 seconds. We're going to start the slideshow as soon as it ends. We can publish it, and then it gives you a link, and it allows anybody with the link to view it, and it plays automatically as a movie. You could also screencastify record this, which is what I have my students do, and they narrate it, and then you can publish that. So I hope you enjoyed how to animate a Google slide, and I hope you'll come back and join me here at the Magic of Math real soon. Please subscribe to my channel and give me a thumbs up.